Welcome to Bar Fashion's YouTube channel. So today we'll be learning how to make a long sleeve with placket. Okay, this is a continuation video where I posted a video of how to make a shirt dress. So this is the sleeve part. I'm going to be having a placket on this sleeve. A placket is that opening you see at the side here of your outfit. So you're just going to see the picture on the screen so that you know what we are trying to achieve. Okay, so to create your placket, you must know how to draft your basic sleeve first. So right now I have my basic sleeve here. So just in case you don't know how to draft a basic sleeve, I'll be dropping the link in the comment section. So for this sleeve, take note. You'll notice that this part this part of my sleeve is lower than this side. Okay, so this is the front part of my sleeve and the other side is the back. That's this part that is lower is the back. So I have my two sleeves cut out already. So remember I said that this is the front part, so let me just label it so that we can see clearly. This is the front part. So here is my back. The placket is going to be on the side of the back. Okay, so I'm going to take my measurement now from the side seam. Okay, I added the sewing allowance of 1.5 inches. So I'm going to mark my 1.5 inches on my sleeve. And then from this 1.5 inches, that's my sewing allowance, I'll go in by 2 inches. That's where the placket will be. Okay, so I'll go in by 2 inches. So from this 2 inches mark, I'll go up by 5 inches. That's how long I want the placket to be. So I'm just going to bring in my ruler and then draw a straight line here. Drawing a straight line here, I came up by 5 inches. So this part is where my placket will be. So for this part, I'm going to slash it opened. Remember, I have my two sleeves facing each other. So that's why I indicated that this side is the front. So I'll just go ahead to slash it this way up to the 5 inches. So now to cut my placket, I'm going to be cutting a placket of 4 inches in width. Okay, so remember that the length I have there is 5 inches. The length of my opening is 5 inches. So the length of the placket I'll be cutting will be 7 inches. That's including my folding allowance. So here I have my 7 inches, and then I'm looking for a width of 4 inches. So here's my 4 inches. I'll mark the same 4 inches on this point, and then I'll draw a straight line. Okay, so here we are. So I'll go ahead to cut it out like you can see me do. Okay, so right now I have my 7 inches I'll be using for the placket. So I'll slash it open. Remember, it's on fold. This is for the two sleeves. Okay, for both sleeves. So now I have 4 inches in width. Okay, so I have my 4 inches. So I'll bring in my iron now. The next thing to do is to fold half inch on this side, or a little less than half inch. I'll fold half inch on this side. Wood so that you can keep your crease line in place. So this is what I'll just be doing. Okay, so I have this now. So I'm going to cut a gum stay long, 7 inches long, but 2 inches in width. And this is my 2 inches this way. So I want to confirm. So of course I need two of this because I'm making two sleeves. So I haven't cut out my 7 inches long gum stay and then 2 inches in width. I'm going to place it from one side. So take note of how I'm placing it. I'm placing it a little inwards. This is just to hold my seam allowance down. That's my fold, the half inch I folded here down, and also to give me that neat finish and also to give me that strength on the placket. So I'll just go ahead and press it this way. So you want to trim out any excess of the gum stay you have. So after that, now I'm going to press this part. Now this is what I have. Can you see I have on this side 2 inches and quarter. You can see I came in by quarter-inch before I placed my gum stay. So I've also gone ahead to place the gum stay on the other placket. Take note of the way it is. They are opposite each other, the part I'm placing my gum stay. So you can see that these parts, when I place them, they will actually face each other. You want to be very careful not to place your gum stay on this side. You will have the same thing. This side is a part of the placket that will sit on top, and this is the side that will be under. So you need to make sure that they are opposite each other like I have here. Okay, so the next thing now to cut out is your cuff, the cuff of this placket. That's the down part of the sleeve. Okay, and in this case, I've gone ahead to cut out my cuff, and I have 9 inches here because the width of the circumference of the wrist I'm working with is 8 inches. So I cut 9 inches. That means 8 half inch on both sides is for my sewing allowance. So the length of this cuff, what I did here is 3.5, and I actually cut it on fold. Can you see? It's on fold. So by the time it is open, that's 7. So on fold 3.5, and I did the same thing for the other side. Okay, just like I folded, I ironed my cuff. I'm going to now, sorry, my placket. I'm going to be ironing the cuff also. I'll be pressing it on 1/2 inch also, like I did for my placket, but I'll be doing only on one side. Take note, it's only on one side. So I'll do the same thing for the second, and then we'll go ahead to cut out our gum stick. So having folded my cuff, I'll bring in my gum stay. So my gum stay is going to be the weight. This weight gum stay I'm using is a medium weight gum stay. So if you are using a hard gum stay, you don't have to do it in a way that it will reach your sewing allowance. But even the medium weight gum stay, you can also reduce it. So the width I have here, I have 9 inches, and then the length I'm looking for a length of 3 inches. Remember that I folded in 1/2 inch. Okay, so right now, minus the sewing allowance, I'm going to have 8 inches, and then the length will be 3 inches. So I'll mark my 3 inches here. Okay, so I'll do cut it out. So for the gum stay now, to place it, I'm going to come in by like 1/4 inch. As you can see me do, and place the gum stay. You don't want it to reach the tip here. And then you can see my sewing allowance of 1/2 inch that I left by the side. So that is it. So I'll go ahead and fold it back, making sure to leave the 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So just like I've done for this, I've also done for this one. So I also fold this way, making sure that my 1/2 inch sewing allowance is there also. So now it's time for us to fix our placket. Okay, so remember that I've already cut this part open. So I'm going to bring my placket now within this crease line. Now I'm going to place it on this opening, the place I cut through on the sleeve. So take note, this part that is smaller, that's the part without the gum stay. Remember that this part is 2 inches. So the part without the gum stay is the side that will be facing the smaller side of the sleeve, that the smaller side of the slashed part. Okay, so I want to make sure that the crease line is aligning with the point that I slashed. So I'll go ahead to pin it like you can see me do or doing. Okay, I'll also pin this side. So you can see So this is what we have. So I'll be sewing on this part. So I will prefer to sew, I'll be sewing from the right side of my fabric. Remember, I placed the placket on the wrong side of the fabric. So I'll be sewing from the right side of the fabric. I'll be sewing on 1/4 inch. So I'll just mark my 1/4 inch. So I'll mark 1/4 inch too on this side. So, and from this point that I slashed, I'll go up by 1/2 inch. And then I'll use my ruler to connect my lines. So exactly the same thing I've done here, I'll do on the other side. So can you see, I'll take to my sewing machine and sew on this rectangular shape and do the same thing on the second one and come back and show us. So after sewing it, can you see, I've sewn my placket on the wrong side. So now go ahead to slash through on the same point I slashed the sleeve previously. So you want to notch towards this angle. So the same thing is what I'll be doing here. I'll slash through on the previous line, and then on this part it's close to 1/2 inch towards the end, and then I'll slash this way, notch this way in a triangular manner. Okay, so now flip my placket to the right side. Okay, so now that I've flipped my placket to the right side, you have to press this part. Okay, so I'll press it so that it relaxes well. You can see that is open now. So I'm going to take to my sewing machine and top stitch on this part. So on this side that has the small part, after top stitching, I'm going to stop. When I top stitch, I'll stop at this point. So after sewing this side, can you see? So now it's time for me to sew the other side. But before that, I'll bring this together like this as the bigger part of the placket. And then take note of what I'm doing. I'll bring my iron in also and then press it this way. This to iron my seam allowance towards the placket. Okay, so having done that, I'll now fold my placket now into two, making sure that it's covering or it's overlapping on top of this small side of the placket. So even this part, everything that is showing, you want to neatly tuck it in. Mm. Now fold this part like this. So but before you fold it, can you see this part that is under here? It's just an excess. So can you see my placket? This part that is under here, I'm just going to cut it this way. This is to allow the placket lay flat. Okay, so can you see, by cutting it out, I don't need that part. So I'll now fold this part in like this. All my excess thread. So you can create any shape you want to create. This is the shape I want to create here. So if you want that triangular shape, you go ahead and create it. So I'll make sure to trim out all my excesses, then take it to the sewing machine. So in this case, I'm going to be showing us how to sew this part so that we can understand how I'll be sewing this part. So I'm just going to pin down this part. So I'll repeat the same thing for the second sleeve, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine and show us how to sew this part. So after folding my placket now, I'll go ahead and top stitch on this point. Look at the way it is. Can you see? So I'm going to top stitch on this point. Take it this way and then stop at this opening here, or a little less than the opening here. This is so that when we open it to be this way. I'll be sewing very close to the tip. Can you see? So turn it this way, like this, and then sew also on this side. We want to make sure to, I'll be using my seam ripper to push this part in, whatever it is that will make the placket not lay flat or not look neat. I'm going to push it in from here. Yeah, so then I'll turn it this way also. So remember, this is where I stopped. So I'm just going to come down, sew a little, and then turn from here like this, and then 45 stitch. Okay, so that's that for the blanket. So can you see? So you can see the part I sewed a little below the that's the length of my placket, that's the length of the opening. So can you see this one you have? So I'll repeat exactly the same thing on the other one. Then I'll go ahead to sew this sleeve on my 1.5, that's my sewing allowance I added. So you sew on the sewing allowance you added, then I'll show us how to fix the cuff. I went ahead to sew my sleeve on the sewing allowance, so you can see that the sleeve is closed. Okay, the width I have here is 8 inches. Remember I said the person's round wrist is 8 inches. Okay, so I have my 8 inches here. So for my cuff, you can see I have 9 inches. So now place this like this. I'll place the cuff this way, making sure to still leave my half inch this way. So I'm going to sew on this half inch on this side, and then on this half inch on this side. By the time I sew on half inch on this side, half inch on this side, of course I'll be left with exactly 8 inches, which is the same measurement as the round wrist. Okay. It out. Before turning it out, just notch this edges here, this sharp point, so that it can be the right side. You want to make sure that you neatly push out this part. Be careful not to poke the cuff. So you just use, and then I'll take it to my ironing table and press it. So you can see my half inch is still here outward. So I'll take it to my ironing table and press it. My cuff. Now it's time for me to fix it to the sleeve. So now I'll be placing it on the wrong side of the sleeve. Now you must take note of this part. They must be equal. Once you notice that there is a little excess, please go ahead and trim it. If you don't trim it, you are going to your cuff is not going to align. One side will be longer than the other. So just going to trim it like this. So you go ahead and trim out any excess you have. This is to avoid one side of your cuff from being longer than the other, or one side of the placket from being longer than the other. So now I'll place my cuff this way from the wrong side of my fabric, making sure that it's aligning with this seam line here. After pinning, I'm just going to sew on this half inch. Of course, you can see the half inch, the extra seam. I'm just going to sew on this half inch this way to cover it. So now I'm turning it to the right side of the sleeve. So can you see that they are all matching up at the side? So I'm going to sew, making sure that I cover my seam line inside. 45. So I've sewn the cuff. Can you see what we have? You see how they are overlapping on top of each other? It's really neat. I've done the same thing for the other side. I've not pressed it yet. So can you see that they are opposite each other? If they were all looking like this, that's if it was here, then it's very wrong. So you can see that they are opposite each other. So now placing it like this is for the left hand side and this is for the right hand side. So this is the front part of my sleeve. This is it. So you must be careful when you are fixing your sleeve to make sure that this part is on the front side of the shirt dress. This part must also be on the front part of the shirt dress. Then I'll wear it on the mannequin and we'll see. So if you enjoyed making this video with me so far, kindly like this video, share, subscribe to my channel, and see you on the mannequin when the dress is fully fixed.